Hi guys, so today we're going to be reviewing our trig ratios, both to find missing sides and missing angles. You are going to be completing these questions through question 14, so you're not worrying about this for the time being. Why is that not working? You're not worrying about that for the time being, but we're going to come back to it later. So as a review, trig ratios are used for right triangles. They help us find missing side measurements, and their inverses help us find missing angle measurements. They are always used on the acute angles in a right triangle. So we're never going to use them for the right angle itself, always for one of the other two angles. And all a trig ratio is a fraction that represents two sides of our triangle. So we have three ratios. I'm going to write them up here. We have sine, that is opposite over hypotenuse. That's what sine is. So whatever angle we're talking about, it's the length of the side that's opposite to that angle over the hypotenuse of the triangle. Then we have cosine. That is the fraction, that is the leg that is adjacent to our angle, and the hypotenuse. So remember, adjacent means the one that's next to it, but that's not the hypotenuse. So if the hypotenuse is next to it, which it will be, right, that's not the one we're talking about. We're talking about the other one. And then tangent is opposite over adjacent. So let's review this first one where you are just finding the fraction. So we're not actually using the ratios to find missing side or angle measurements right now. We're literally just going to be doing the ratios. So first we're going to talk about angle R. So let's make sure that that's highlighted, ready to go, and identify what all of the sides are in relation. So across from it, 15, that is opposite. Adjacent to it, 36, that's adjacent. And you actually do not know the hypotenuse right now, but you absolutely can find it. You should find it. I'm going to give you a second to do that. Hint, you're using the Pythagorean theorem to do that. So it's going to be 36 squared plus 15 squared equals c squared. And you should get 39. If you didn't, pause, redo it. All right, that is reasonable. It is larger than the two legs, so we're good. All right, 39 is the hypotenuse. So now we can answer these questions. So sine of R, that's opposite over hypotenuse. Opposite is 15, over hypotenuse is 39. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. Adjacent is 36. Hypotenuse is 39, but that actually can be simplified, and it should be. They're both divisible by 3, so I'm going to actually erase that and rewrite it. When they're both divided by 3, the 36 becomes 12, and the 39 becomes 13. And then tangent is opposite over adjacent, so that's 15 over 36, but those are both divisible by 3 as well, making it 5 over 12. Okay, so go ahead and complete these on your own. I'm going to highlight them so you know that you have to do them. The answer key is posted, so make sure you're checking. Next, we are going to find some side measurements. So when you're doing these problems, as a reminder, you're always going to want to highlight the angle that is relevant to you and identify what the sides are in relation to that angle. So x is adjacent 21 is the hypotenuse. It's really important, guys, that you don't mistakenly say that 21 is adjacent just because it's next to the angle. While it is adjacent to the angle, it is the hypotenuse, right? Because it's across from our right angle. So there's like no room for error there. If you get that wrong, the whole problem is just going to be thrown away. And if it helps you, you can identify the other side, right? This one is opposite. It's not being used in this problem, but if it just helps you, then go ahead and identify that as well. Because I did that, I'm going to highlight these guys just so I know that those are the ones that are relevant to me. So I have adjacent and I have hypotenuse, which means I have cosine. So cosine of 38, remember it's always the ratio of the angle, equals adjacent x over hypotenuse 21. So x is in our numerator here, which means we just multiply the 21 times the cosine of 38. Please make sure you watched the calculator tutorial. Also make sure your calculator is in degrees. There's several settings in your calculator. It can be in degrees, which is what it needs to be in. But if it's in radians, you're going to get the problem wrong, even though you're not entering anything incorrectly. Some of you reached out to me about that, so make sure your calculator is set to degrees, and feel free to call me and I can like kind of FaceTime and walk you through how to change it if you're struggling. So here we're going to get 16.5. Check for reasonableness, right? That side is it's a leg of a triangle. It's not the hypotenuse, so it does need to be smaller than 21. It is, so we're good. Let's try one where we are finding the angle measurement. Same general process though. You highlight the angle of interest. You identify what all of the sides are. So 23 is the hypotenuse because it's across from our right angle. 15 is opposite. And this side that's not relevant to us is adjacent. But these are the relevant sides. I'm looking at my ratios. I see that sine is the one that has opposite and hypotenuse in that order, O over H. So sine of x, remember always sine of the angle, sine of x equals 15 over 23. So that means you do the inverse sine of 15 over 23 in your calculator, which is also part of the calculator tutorial if you need it. And you get 40.7. Check for reasonableness, right? We know that when we're getting our angles, it has to be a number that is smaller than 90 because we have three angles. One of them is 90. The other two have to together equal 90. And 40.7 absolutely seems reasonable. Okay, so you are completing the rest of this page, 8, 9, 10, 12, as well as 13 and 14, not this for the time being, but we will get to it later. All right, make sure you are checking your answers against the key posted to Classroom, and make sure you are also spending at least 10 minutes on each of the IXLs from earlier in the week, making it a total of 30 minutes that you should have been spending on each of them. 20 from the previous day, 10 now. It's really important that you do well on these IXLs, so if you spend 10 minutes and your score still isn't great, but you have some more time, I really think it's a good idea for you to use that time. You do not have any new coursework tomorrow. Teachers kind of have like a work day, so I won't be giving you anything, but again, you'll have time, so IXL would be a great place to spend it. Please make sure you are contacting me with questions. Less of you have been reaching out than I anticipated, which I don't know quite yet if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but if you have questions, you absolutely do need to be asking. All right, guys. Good luck. I hope to hear from you, and I will see you, or I wish. No, not going to see you. I'll talk to you on Monday. Bye.